G'day everybody and welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by a 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host Drew Agnew and the doors, episode 255 are open. Hope you're going well, hope you're having a fantastic day wherever and whenever you check out the show. We're recording another episode on the farm yet again, and after episode 250 I had a fantastic time recording out and about. It's a lot of fun. It's very freeing actually, just setting up the camera and being able to talk, and there's no one around me. I can talk without being embarrassed. There's been a couple of times, even in my own house, where I'm like, oh, there's people here. A little bit embarrassing when it comes to just talking to yourself, but that's something I've got to get over. But on the farm, that's not a big deal. I can just talk to my heart's content, record it into the camera, and anybody can watch it there, so I don't really know what the problem is. Ideally, I should record it in front of thousands of people, and then that will prepare me for, I don't know, 50 people to watch it on YouTube. But it is always a lot of fun. Going to be talking about the Nintendo Direct that happened a few days ago, as well as the games that I've been playing throughout the week. But on the farm, when I was walking around having a look where I should record, usually I look for like a nice place to sit and some nice scenery. But I came across this place here, and while it might not be in frame necessarily, and I guess on the audio version you wouldn't be able to see anything, but just close your eyes and imagine this. I'm sitting on a branch that's fallen off of a tree. It's been here for years on the farm, and we actually call it Granddad's Bar. And we call it Granddad's Bar because years ago when my granddad passed away, we actually spread his ashes here on the farm. And it's always been a place where I've come to, get a bit of peace and quiet, think, and also connect with my granddad and my grandparents, when they were, still alive. Because they mean a great deal to me. They passed away when I was very young, but they actually moved over to Australia from England. I was their only grandson, so they made the big move. And I'm so glad that they did because, it allowed me to get to know them, and I really do miss them. So it's nice to be able to record the podcast here and share it with you guys. There's a lot of places on the farm that meant a lot to me. As a kid, this was my world, getting around here, exploring the hill, all the trees, everything. It seems a lot smaller to me now, but as a kid getting around on foot with my dogs, it was everything. So absolutely love it. So thanks for joining me here. But back on more track to the video game side of things, we're coming up to PAX Australia. Cannot wait for PAX this year. It's always just a great excuse to go to Melbourne and hang out with mates. But this year, as far as being a Nintendo content creator goes, it seems like they're the biggest company going. They're going to be having tournaments for Splatoon and Mario Kart, as well as showing off Mario Wonder and hopefully some other games. And what else they got going? Oh, they got a My Nintendo store too, so maybe I'll be spending some cash there on some little knickknacks and some... I'm a little bit worried, actually, because that day, the Mario Red Edition Nintendo Switch OLED comes out. I'm a little bit nervous that, just all the hype, all of the excitement of the event and having it right there, I'll end up just going and picking one up. Because there was a few years ago when the Switch Lite came out, I remember, I don't really need one. I've got a Switch, and the Switch Lite does less than the Switch model I've got now. But I played one at PAX. I actually quite like the feeling of it. It's nice and small, got a D-pad. It's its own little whole unit. But then, guess what? There was a Nintendo... Or there's an EB Games, actually, in PAX that year. They combined with the EB Games Expo. So I went straight over and I bought one. They got me. It is what it is. But really look forward to PAX this year. Expect a lot of content from the event this year. It's going to be really great. So let's jump into what I've been playing this week. And what I've been playing this week has been the Pokémon Scarlet and Violet DLC, the Teal Mask. And I mentioned that I wasn't all that sure whether I was going to pick it up. But thankfully, that decision was actually made for me. Nintendo Australia reached out to me and provided the code. And typically, I've never received codes for DLC before, so that was interesting. It was very nice of them to provide that code. So thank you very much to Nintendo Australia. But that did allow me to jump into the DLC, check it out for myself, played it over the weekend, And we'll get the pros out before we get to the cons. And the pros is that it was a lot of fun. You know, the Pokemon games are always fun. And the first night I spent just exploring the new land of Kitakama, which is like a small island based way away. That's a weird, really way, a really weird way to explain it. But it's very far away from the Paldea region, even to the point where the day and night cycle is switched. So if you go from Paldea to Kitakama, and it's daytime in Paldea, it'll be nighttime in Kitakama, and etc. etc. Because I guess Kitakama, it's a lot more based on Japanese culture. It seems to be a lot closer to Japan rather than, I guess, was it Spain? Paldea is based on. So it's a very different feeling place, and I really enjoyed just exploring it, much like I did the region in Scarlet and Violet, and just catching Pokemon. There's 200 newly brought in Pokemon from previous Pokemon games, as well as like a couple of brand new ones which I've seen in the marketing material. I don't think there's many new ones. There is sort of a side quest that was a surprise, but I won't get into that here for spoiler reasons. But I really enjoyed exploring the land, getting new Pokemon. Finding an Applin and being like, all right, how do I evolve this into a Diplin? And honestly, I just looked it up. I'm like, all right, I need this item. It can be found here. So I went and got it. So I've got a Diplin, and its shiny actually looks really cool. It's just like a golden apple instead of like the green of the other two evolutions, which is pretty cool. And I actually saw that if you get a shiny Diplin and you use its signature move, which is like, I forgot what it's called, but it like shoots out applesauce. Instead of being red, it's actually gold, like it is with the shiny. And I don't know, that's the sort of small detail I actually really want when it comes to Pokemon games, and we don't typically get. So I'm really quite pleased with that. So like I said, the first night I just spent exploring the land, doing that, ignoring the story because, the Pokemon stories, they just seem to waft on about blah, 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 blah. But then the second night I jumped into the story, and for the most part, I actually really enjoyed the story. It's like a small, condensed story about a small village and their rituals, their lore, all of that. And along the way, you sort of discover that things aren't exactly how the legends are perceived, and then you go on to, do what you need to do. And I actually really enjoyed the small town sort of feel, rather than, taking on a massive Pokemon League or saving the world or anything like that. It was just like a small condensed story where you're helping out this mystical, legendary Pokemon, basically clear up its name because it's been wronged in the past. So I really actually quite enjoyed that. What I didn't enjoy about the story was the characters. You have there's Carmine and Kieran, and these characters are just so annoying. They're very annoying. They're a brother and sister, especially Kieran. He's just, he's a typical teenager. He's just, it's just frustrating. Mate, just leave me alone, for goodness sakes. But it did provide some interesting context along the way where, you weren't going for gyms or whether it's totem Pokemon or anything like that. It provided an interesting sort of structure to the story where you're not just going from gym to gym or totem Pokemon to totem Pokemon or, et cetera, et cetera. They battled you along the way as the story progressed, and they got better and better as things went on. And I enjoyed that sort of structure where it wasn't just going from town to town, but it was doing like certain missions or certain tasks along the way. So it probably took me like 5 hours. I wasn't timing it at all, but it might have been like 5 hours. I had a night where I was playing quite a bit on the couch next to Chantel, just in handheld mode. But yeah, it was a really fun time, all honestly. It was nice to go back to the game for the most part and play Pokemon, catch Pokemon, and do some battles. And I think why I enjoyed it so much is how I played it. I didn't actually play it how, you typically go through a Pokemon game. You'll catch a Pokemon, you'll train it up and you'll keep it in your party throughout the whole adventure. I was catching Pokemon and just swapping as I go. So I come across a Lampent at the top of a mountain, and it was like level 86. Like, it was just an absolutely crazy high level, because for the most part, the Pokemon will be around level 60. So when I found this, I'm like, all right, so I add it to my party, and then it eventually faints, and I just swap it out with the next thing I catch. And I was using all sorts of Pokemon that I typically don't use. I actually had a couple of Sandslash at some point, And it was a lot of fun just rotating Pokemon because, the story's not hard and the Pokemon that you are coming across are very strong. So you're actually able to do that. So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed playing the Pokemon games like that. And I guess Scarlet and Violet, you can play like that because there's just so many Pokemon. You're catching Pokemon so often. You have access to your boxes, your PC in the middle of nowhere. So you can do that. So, yeah, I quite enjoyed my, 6 to 7 hour adventure all up. It was quite fun. And, I think I'm good. I think I'm done until the next DLC comes out. What I will say is going back to Scarlet and Violet. It just reminds you of how bloody friggin' broken these games are. Like, I haven't touched it since January when I finished the game. I finished it earlier this year. I think it was. Must have been. Yeah, I finished it earlier this year. Or late last year. Must have been late last year because I haven't included it in my overall tally of finished games. So it mustn't have been this year. But going back to it, I guess especially after playing Spider-Man on PS5, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, like a bunch of fantastic games that hold up technically, this game is just absolutely disgraceful in how it runs. It's just absolutely disgusting that, like, it's been out for 10 months. They're releasing new content that costs $52 for the 2 DLCs, and they've fixed next to nothing. I think, by the sounds of it, they've fixed the PC. But as you're playing the game, you're playing it at a frame rate that just is unacceptable. Like, even to the point where after that quite big night I had with the game, the next day I was out for a walk and I could feel my eyes, like, strained. Like, it just completely strains your eyes how just technically inept this game is. Just like the low frame rate and how chuggy it is. It's not even at a consistent low frame rate. It's just jumping around the place. And in Pokemon battles, like how slow they are because you select a move and you can just feel the game loading it. It's just absolutely crazy. It's just the whole fact that this game sold 20 million copies in, I don't know, was it a week? Just insane. The fastest selling Nintendo game of all time. And it's the most broken, high caliber game I've ever played in my life. It's unacceptable. And if the next Pokemon game is anything like this, look, I think we've got to put our foot down and be like, oh, we're not buying that. Like, I know Pokemon games are so much fun, but man, what the hell? What the hell? So when it comes to the DLC, like I said, I didn't pay for it. If I didn't receive it from Nintendo Australia, I probably wouldn't have played it yet. But it's a weird spot being a Nintendo podcaster where it's stuff like this I think you guys actually want to hear about, because you don't want to be putting your money down being like, all right, well, we'll see how it goes. You want to hear how it is first. So maybe I would have bought it for podcast reasons, but then it would have really sort of rubbed me the wrong way, just how broken it is and that I'm supporting that. So, yeah, a bit of a tricky place for me necessarily, but luckily Nintendo took that decision away from me and I was able just to play it and report back on the show my thoughts. But overall, my thoughts are, it was fun. If you enjoy Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and you want more of it, go ahead, play it. It's gonna be great. It's a fun little story. Exploring a new land is always fun in Pokemon games. Because for me, with the DLC with Sword and Shield, when they announced that, I was ecstatic. And that is exactly what I want from Pokemon games. Just like a couple of drops, brand new island, new Pokemon, go and explore. That is exactly what I want. I just want it to run at a frame rate that doesn't make me feel a bit sick. I want to play it where I'm not looking at the game constantly and thinking like, is it going to crash on me? Because I'm looking at the shadows and the textures just flicker. I've got a video on my phone of one of the stationary Pokemon that you meet along the way, just like vibrating just furiously. I'm like, what the hell? When you go closer to it and it just stops. Like, it just constantly draws you out of the immersion. And it's a shame because I think for the most part, like the team responsible for the mechanics, the team responsible for the new Pokemon, the art designers, everything, I think Scarlet and Violet offer a lot. And I think the next DLC drop's going to be pretty great as well, being like focused on battling and being a part of the Blueberry Academy, which is actually revealed in this is that is a part of the Unova region, which is the region based in Pokemon Black and White. So it does a lot of actually cool world building stuff along the way. So we're actually going to be going to technically a different region. And I think this DLC offers quite a cool sort of aspect for all of that that stuff for Pokemon fans. It's just how do we send the message that this isn't good enough? It really is not good enough. And I've talked about it on a podcast a couple of times, but it's interesting what place they fall in, because with the Pokemon Company, they need to find a way to keep Pokemon in the limelight while also giving their big Japanese RPGs the time and the respect that they deserve. Because with Pokemon, they're aiming it at kids, so there's kids coming through every year. Every year they've got to catch those kids. Every year that they have off, they miss potentially a whole, a year or a generation of kids. That's just how it is. And there's plenty of kids' content out there that will engage them and will draw them in away from Pokemon if they are not there to, I guess, sell them a game or get them in. Because, a year a Pokemon game isn't out is a year that they'll go into Fortnite, they'll go into Roblox, stuff where content is constantly coming out. But when it comes to like a Japanese role-playing game, there is just... the turnover for content is just not the same as a battle royale where you're just putting out skins. It's not the same as Roblox where people are making their own content. It's not the same as Minecraft where it's just infinite as far as what you can do in it. It's a tricky situation they found themselves in, and they've got to find a different way to be able to get into the hearts and minds of new generations of people coming through. Because for Scarlet and Violet, they need it on a longer schedule, maybe similar to a Zelda game. Maybe not the same as Tears of the Kingdom, 6 years. I think that's a little bit extravagant for most gamers. As good as Tears of the Kingdom turned out because of it, it's maybe not ideal for a lot of them. But they need to find a different way. They need a different sort of games. They need more spin-offs that appeal to younger kids. They need something. They can't put out content like this, because if you're a kid and you're looking at Scarlet and Violet, or you're looking at Fortnite, Fortnite does a much better job as far as just from a technical perspective, getting content out there and all of that. And I'm saying that from someone who's not even a Fortnite fan or a fan of these games. It's just how it is in the market Pokemon's trying to tackle. But we will see with the next Pokemon games. Hopefully they'll be a little bit further away. I really hope we don't get Pokemon games next year. Hopefully they get the message, man, because early in the Switch generation, people were frustrated at the current state of Pokemon, and when they announced like the cuts to the amount of Pokemon in it, people were like, "Oh, come on!" It's just cut after cut. And even with the Pokemon being drawn back, Scarlet and Violet didn't improve things on that front whatsoever. So who knows, man? We can be optimists, but not sure. So at the end of the day, I think the DLC just brought up those real sore points for me, because for the most part, I've just ignored Scarlet and Violet when it's like time to bring it up on the show because some raid failed and they had to postpone it because of the technical aspects. I've just been able to ignore it for the most part, but now they've brought out new content and I've played it, you'll open those wounds again. But you've also reminded me that Pokemon is indeed fun. Catching Pokemon is fun, and battling is fun. It's just it's a fun loop, and they do it very well. And the open world mechanic is exactly what I've wanted for years. It's just put in a really unfortunate package. And even from a perspective for me, where I really enjoyed Sword and Shield, I can be a Sword and Shield apologist. I love the Galar region. I love the new Pokemon. I love how, it's the gym leaders are based after soccer teams, and it's all just like so competitive in the stadiums, and I love the whole atmosphere. I don't love the atmosphere of the Paldea region. I don't love how you're playing as what feels like a toddler going to school, and how in the DLC the characters are talking about spending their pocket money and things like that. It makes me just like, I'm 29. Like, what am I doing? I'm playing a game where like my companions are talking about spending their pocket money at this festival. But I don't know. We keep coming back. We keep having fun. But if you didn't like Scarlet and Violet, stay away. Save your money. There's plenty coming out for the rest of this year. So yes, those are my thoughts on the Pokemon Scarlet Violet DLC, the Teal Mask. We'll see what the rest brings us later in the year. I want to bring this up as well. There was an Apple event. They announced a brand new iPhone 15 Pro, and I just want to bring it up for its gaming capabilities. I was actually on a walking my son in his pram, AirPods in, and listening to the Apple event. And I got a new iPhone last year, so I'm not in the market for a new phone for another couple of years. I'm very much good. But they brought up that basically full-fledged games can now be brought to iPhone because of the new as an A17 chip that Apple made, their system on a chip, and it's now capable of ray tracing and all this interesting stuff. And I was very surprised to hear that. I'm like, a phone can do ray tracing, and ray tracing to me was like something that's like in a, a 3090 like graphics card, or PlayStation or an Xbox, a big beefy thing. But now you can play like Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Death Stranding Director's Cut. Those are the games announced coming to iPhone 15 Pro. And I'm like, wow, those games, like essentially PlayStation 4 games, can run on your phone. A phone that is designed to do multiple things well. It's not optimized for gaming necessarily. The iPhone 15 Pro might actually be very optimized for games now. Sorry, it's clear my throat a bit. But I thought it very interesting just in the perspective of the next generation Switch, where, this year's iPhone can run those games, but iPhone is updated every year. What's the next iPhone going to be able to run? What's the next iPhone after that going to be able to run? And now that they've got USB-C, are they going to include like an accessory like a dock where you can dock your iPhone in, like a charger, and it displays on your TV, and then you can pick up an Xbox or a PlayStation controller and play your games that way? That would be fascinating. That would be just a massive direct competitor to Switch. As much as like we can say, look, I'm not going to buy Resident Evil 4 remake on my phone and like put it sideways and use touch controls. I'm not saying that. But with like a backbone accessory, which is a controller that you slot onto the sides, much like Joy-Cons, you can have a little mount so you can use an Xbox controller and have it as like one unit. Or like I said, it could be USB-C compatible and Thunderbolt into your TV and display on your TV. And that's a device a lot of people would already have for maybe the camera or the phone capabilities, or all of that type of thing already in their pocket. And I'm not saying that Nintendo's in trouble. Of course they're not. They're going to have their own IPs. As soon as they announce a brand new Mario Kart, it's going to be off to the races. Literally, everybody's going to want to be able to pick that up. And iPhone as well. It's a really weird situation. Like, are you going to use this as like a multiplayer console? Put it in, have like multiple controllers hooked up? I guess you could, but it's a little bit strange. It's a very personal device. You plug it into the TV and you give it to your kids, for example. Like, you put it, then they just like, turn off airplane mode, and then they go into all your messages and like, I don't know, like, it's a weird thing. It's not really a device I'd want solely for gaming, but it can do it. It's not just your typical device that's going to be running, just Candy Crush and, those types of games. And it's kind of exciting just in the world of handheld gaming, just like all the handheld PC stuff. Apple's really targeting console gaming in a serious way. Be interesting how that translates to Mac and iPad. And as far as like the next generation Nintendo console goes, I was really thinking like, how's this going to affect that? A lot of people are still going to pick up Switch for their kids or for themselves to play Nintendo games, or just games in a more comfortable, optimized setting, I dare say. But I really didn't believe the rumors when it came to like the ray tracing capabilities of the next generation Nintendo Switch. I'm like, oh, come on, like, I don't believe that. But now that your phone can do that, I'm like, it probably actually can. Like Nvidia, who will probably be doing the system on a chip for the next generation console, would most likely be trying to target ray tracing and all of that, and trying to get modern day console games onto the next generation Switch. So yeah, man, it's a very exciting time. Very exciting time. A little bit jealous in some ways. I actually, in some ways, I'm like, oh, I wish I updated my phone this year. Then I could, could you imagine playing like Death Stranding just on your phone with touch controls? It's like, yeah, Or like, yeah, Resident Evil, where you got to aim and that. Not necessarily, but it'll be great. It would be great to have that stuff on your phone. But it's not that what really excites me. What kind of excites me about like these games coming to iPhone is not necessarily those games, but just the fact that if they are on iPhone, what price are they going to charge? Are they going to be a full price game and they're going to charge the same on iPhone, similar to what it would be on like a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5, or are they going to cost a little bit less? Because of course they're not going to be in the $20 range. They're not going to put it down there. So it kind of opens up the App Store a little bit more to include other games that aren't as expensive. Stuff like Sea of Stars, indie games like that that cost $50. It sort of opens them up to be able to charge what they need to be able to charge on those platforms, because typically we only see like the good indie games come to iOS or even Android if it's included like an Apple Arcade or your Netflix subscription. But it's just when it comes to getting games on your phone, it's always free to play. It's always gacha. It's always stuff that's just trying to rob you. So yeah, be interesting to see what the future holds. I'm really interested to see what the future of the iPhone is for gaming and what Nintendo's going to do, as well as like these handheld PCs. Handheld gaming is in a great place, and when it was the end of the 3DS and Vita's life, we couldn't say that, but it's going to be really interesting. I can't wait to play my games across all of these things. It's going to be awesome. Let's move on to some housekeeping, and this is where you can make this house a home by supporting me over at patreon.com/iDruby, and of course youtube.com/iDruby, where this week our sleepover episode is going to be with Paul James of player2.net. It's going to be a great episode. Go and check that out. And this week I've actually been very busy. I've recorded 4 sleepover episodes. I'm recording them in advance a little bit, so I can be ahead when I'm sharing and all of that. So some of the conversations you might hear like, oh, Mario Wonder's out, and they're talking about Mario Wonder not being out. So apologies for that, but I've had some great conversations with some great people over the last week or two, and it's been a lot of fun. So stay tuned for those. They come out on Fridays, and it's been a lot of fun. And you can also follow us and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and that really helps the show out, and I'll read them on the podcast as well. This week I haven't made much progress in my gaming challenge. I've been very much focused on recording those podcasts. My night's been taken up basically each night doing the podcasts, then the Nintendo Direct, and then the Pokemon DLC. So that's been my week so far. But I'm working on Gunbrella at the moment, and Spider-Man's Miles Morales. I've got to get back to that one. But Gunbrella I was playing last night. It's a lot of fun. It's a really interesting sort of adventure platformer game. I wouldn't call it a Metroidvania, but the way you progress is you're going from town to town, doing certain missions and side quests for the residents in there. And the gameplay is really cool too. You got this Gunbrella, which is an umbrella shotgun, which you can shoot with, but then you can also do like a dash and use it as a shield, use it as like a parasol to just float down. It's really interesting mechanics. And I'm not very good at it, but it's a lot of fun nevertheless. I died a couple of times to some of the bosses. There were some areas too which I was I was trying to get through probably like 4 times. I'm like, oh my god. I didn't have any health packs at the time, so that might have helped if I went back to the merchant, but I didn't. But I'll talk about that next week when I've actually finished the game. That code was provided by Devolver Digital, so thank you very much to those guys over there. This week, not too much about the Guru Geek Out, just a tribute to my late friend Bobby Pauls, the Nintendo Guru. I just want to give a geek out about my new Rode Wireless Pro microphone. These are brand new microphones from Rode. They're like a little wireless set, and I decided to get these because they have like a bunch of features that I thought would be really useful. Number one is that they sound good. You're listening to it right now. I'm out on the farm recording into it in a little handheld mode, and it sounds really good. Let me know what you think. I love to hear what you what you think about the sound. Whether you can hear a difference or not from my studio setup, not quite sure. You hear a few birds chirping around, but apart from that, sounds pretty good, I think. But it also has a feature called 32-bit float, and a lot of audio people out there really love this feature, but myself before this, and you guys listening to this, like, what the hell is that? Well, it's basically just that you can scream into the microphone, or you can be very quiet, and it doesn't clip. So I can scream as loud as I want, and then in post, I can reduce that down, and it will just sound normal, apart from me, obviously, yelling, but it won't blow out your eardrums. So that's a really useful feature. When I go to PAX Australia, and you're on the convention floor, and there's a lot of stuff going on, these microphones would be great for that, because you can just reduce that, no clipping, no drama, and just a really fantastic feature. And it's good for me too, because when I'm holding it close to my face and I'm doing like the intro, what's up everybody, welcome to the house, I'm Mario, I'm a little bit louder then, I can't help it. I can't do that while also being a bit quieter, unless I'm actually just talking normal. So that's a great feature for that. So that reduces that down, and it brings up when I'm just talking normal like now, which is awesome. So first time using it for a proper video / podcast. Let me know what you think, and really excited about it. I'm probably going to use these in the studio as well, purely because I've had just such trouble on the back end when it comes to syncing up my audio from my studio microphone to my camera. It says audio drift, so over time, just the timing is just a little bit off, where it just desyncs from my mouth, and it's kind of unfixable in some ways. It's very frustrating. So this will hopefully fix that problem. Awesome stuff. All right, so that brings us to the Nintendo Direct. And we finally got our September 2023 Nintendo Direct. It hasn't been that long since the last one back in June. It honestly feels like it's been a month. And on the lead up to this Nintendo Direct, I was thinking to myself, do we really need another Nintendo Direct? I feel like we just had it not that long ago. And with all the games that were announced last Direct, I really didn't think we needed another one. Just with, we haven't got them yet. I'm still waiting for Wario. I'm still waiting for Mario Wonder. We just had a Mario Wonder exclusive Direct. I'm still waiting for, Mario RPG Remake. And apart from that, we just got like a few sort of updates on existing games, but we also got some pretty exciting announcements as well. But for the most part, it was just a lot of remakes, a lot of retreading of old ground, and it does show that we are getting into the final stages of the Nintendo Switch's life, which isn't a bad thing. I think all of these games I'm excited to play, I'm excited to pick up, but it is just telling. We're getting very similar games that we got to the end of the 3DS's life. Like, for example, we got remakes of previous Mario and Luigi games. We got a port of the first Luigi's Mansion from GameCube to 3DS. And we're getting like the exact same things now. Like, for example, a remake of Thousand Year Door, which is very exciting. We're getting a port of Luigi's Mansion 2. We're getting like the same games, but a little bit different. The same genre sort of like moved from previous systems over, which, like I said, isn't a bad thing. But it is just telling that Mario Wonder is probably going to be the last, massive game. Mario Wonder is going to be absolutely massive, but the rest of next year is going to be like Princess Peach's Showtime. It's going to be Thousand Year Door. It's going to be a remake of Mario vs. Donkey Kong from Game Boy Advance. All stuff that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be worth your time. But yeah, it is what it is. But I can't wait. I reckon that's exciting. It's not a bad thing. It's exciting we're getting those smaller games, as well as what we're going to be getting next year. It's going to be very exciting. So the first game I want to talk about is Princess Peach Showtime. And this was pretty cool. We finally got to see it. We saw it in June. It's really weird how they sort of announced this. That, like, they sort of teased it 3 months ago, and now they're like, all right, let's show it properly. So, okay. It would have been really exciting if they just sort of revealed it fully this time. I was listening to Josh on Nintendvania talk about that on his podcast when he went through the Nintendo Direct. And he brought that up too. It's not sort of a point that I thought of. I was like, yeah, they probably should have just saved that. Like, they had the big pop of Mario Wonder. They really didn't need like, oh, we also got this Peach game. So, oh, well, yeah, cool. But yeah, it would have been cool to give it like its own spotlight, a bit bigger announcement this week. But it's a very different game to what I thought it was going to be. It's not really a platformer. It's more akin to Kirby in some ways, with the fact that she's gone to the theater to watch a play, and the play's sort of been taken over by this bad guy. called grapes or something like that. Like, very funny. Peach, grapes, both fruit, very funny. But yeah, it's been taken over by this bad guy. Grapes. Fucking grapes. Fair enough, Nintendo. No, I don't like. That's throwing me right off. What the? But you go to this theater and it's been taken over by the bad guy, and you've got to basically fill these roles to be a part of the play. You can be a swordsman, a detective, and these different costumes you put on and use different abilities to get through the particular levels. And sometimes it looks like the swordsman. It looks more like a traditional sort of platformer game with like a bit of 3D elements. You're going around using your sword to take down enemies. But other ones in the detective, you're sort of going around different sets, sort of discovering what's going on. It seems really interesting. I'm looking forward to it. It's like a different experience as far as what's going on within the world of Mario, and I'm keen to check it out. It definitely gives me like younger kids vibes, similar to what Kirby does, but that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think at the end of the day, the game won't be for me, but I'll get my enjoyment out of it, and it'll also be a game sort of in my collection I can show my son when he's a little bit older and he can play video games. So I'm pretty excited that that game's a thing. We got Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, and this was rumoured really early in the year, and we were kind of expecting to see it at the first or the second Nintendo Direct, and it never come around. And like, oh well, it must have been like the Mario RPG. That must have been the rumour. But no, this game is also being remade, and I'm ecstatic about it. I was actually going to play it earlier this year. I was going to give it the old download on the Dolphin emulator, play it that way, but when I heard the rumour, I'm like, I'd rather play it officially and prettier on the Switch, and that dream is going to come true next year. So looking forward to it. It doesn't have a release date yet, but it will come out in 2024. But yeah, this is just like a cult classic from GameCube. So really fun that it's going to be available. It's probably after Origami King, it's going to be nice to go back to Paper Mario just when it's got its traditional turn-based battle system as well. I kind of wish that now Mario and Luigi RPGs are no longer a thing because Alpha Dream is shut down. I kind of hope they go back to just like the more traditional games. But I think the developers actually really like coming up with new mechanics and that as they go along. So yeah, that'll be fun next year. Released on the same day was F-Zero 99. And this is when you can take on basically another 98 players in this Battle Royale F-Zero game. And I tried it out a little bit. I haven't dived into it that much. I only played like the first couple of races where you're still playing with only like 24 races. It sort of starts you on a smaller mode before you jump into 99. And it's fun. I'm quite bad at it, just jumping straight into it for a couple of races. I'm like, I'm not very good at F-Zero from the SNES. But it's cool that it's there. It's a wonderful idea, and I need to spend some more time with it. But I see a few people on my Twitter timeline have like posted their wins, which is awesome. Bringing up Josh from Nintenvania again. Congratulations. I saw you got a win. That's awesome. But yeah, I was just busy with the Pokemon DLC this weekend. So I was playing that, burning my retinas out with the frame rate. We also got Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. We knew about this from the last Direct, but we got a bit more of an idea of when it's going to be coming out. It's going to be coming out winter 2024. So quite a while away, actually. It's a weird game to have on the radar for that long. But this is honestly a game I am easily the least excited about. I've done Luigi's Mansion 2 before, and I don't need to play it again, honestly. And if I was going to play it again, I would much rather just play it on 3DS. Because Luigi's Mansion 2 on 3DS was one of the best uses of the stereoscopic 3D feature. I was like, am I saying that right? So it definitely wasn't, but yeah. Anyway, it was one of the best uses of the feature because each room was designed like as its own little diorama. And when you're looking at it in 3D, it just looks like a little diorama you can like reach your hand into. It is one of the top 3 best uses of 3D on the system. Would have been like up with 3D Land. That would have been, in my honest opinion, the best use of 3D, just judging jumps and all of that. As well as probably A Link Between Worlds on 3DS where like you go 2D and then you look through all the cracks and everything. It was that was a really nice use as well. So yeah, I would honestly just play it on 3DS. But for people that never picked it up or don't have a 3DS or all that type of thing, go ahead, play it on Switch. I'm sure it's going to be great on Switch. It looks quite nice for a 3DS upres. But when you compare it to Luigi's Mansion 3, Luigi's Mansion 3 is a beautiful game, just regardless of whatever platform it's on. So, they definitely stepped it up from Luigi's Mansion 2. But I'm glad people can go back and play it. And I just want to say as well, for people in the States where it was called Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, it was actually called Luigi's Mansion 2 here, like the whole time. It's only the States, I think, that changed its name for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know why the marketing team would have been like, we can't call it 2 there. It's a little bit strange, but it's always been Luigi's Mansion 2 here in Australia. The game that's actually coming up the quickest is Detective Pikachu Returns. Comes out the 6th of October. Oh, I don't know what happened there. I just got a frog in my throat. I was going to say a throat in my frog. I don't want to put my throat in my frog. That's disgusting. But yeah, Detective Pikachu, it's coming out very soon. Showing off, you can like use some different Pokemon, their different abilities. And it looks fun. I'm sure it'll be good. Hope the writing's good. The writing's going to have to be the part of the game that really drags me through. It's not going to be the graphics or anything like that, or even the puzzles. It's not really my type of game, but I hope to God that it has like just a good, compelling mystery story, which it should, because it's a game about a detective. So fingers crossed, comes out when I go to PAX. We got new information on the expansion pass for the side order for Splatoon 3, and it comes out actually pretty late. It comes out autumn 2024, so we've got a long way. I thought it was going to like be like a drop, just like get stealth released this week or in the next month or something. But no, she's a long way away, and you sort of see comparisons to when they first announced the DLC to what they showed at this Direct. You can see that development has been progressing quite well along the way. So, yeah, it must have been very early in development when it was announced, so fair enough. I might play it, depending on what people say. From the Direct, it sounded like it was going to be like a roguelite, where you just, play it again and again and again and try and do better, and hopefully get story along the way. That'll be interesting if they can set that up in Splatoon 3. That'll be pretty cool. If that's fun, I'll be going back to it, because I actually did a sleepover episode with my good friend Wacko Jacko, and that episode's going to be called the current state of Splatoon 3. And after talking to Wacko, it made me want to play the game again. So if the DLC like dropped within the next month, I probably would have been playing it again. But yeah, we might play it again when it gets a little bit quieter as far as game releases go. But the time is not now. This is a brand new announcement. This was rumoured beforehand, and it was 100% right. Nintendo's got a leaking problem, but that was okay. It prepared us for this announcement that Mario vs. Donkey Kong, the game on the Game Boy Advance, is getting a remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, on the Nintendo Switch. It comes out next year on the 16th of February, 2024, which this is an interesting one for me. So the history of this series pretty much goes back to the original Donkey Kong, then Donkey Kong 94 on the Game Boy, which was, one of the best Donkey Kong games just in general. One of the best games on the Game Boy, quite easily. Actually, it's easily in the top 10. It might even be at the very top of that list. It might be right up there with Pokemon for me. Like, it's just an amazing game on Game Boy. And what those games are is they're puzzle platformers. You're looking to get keys, you're looking to get to certain parts of the map. You're doing switches to open up doors, and this game is very much the same. It takes that DNA, and it doesn't really shake it up all that much, but it added some new mechanics. And yeah, and then the series went on to go on the DS, like March of the Minis, where you're using the touchscreen to move a bunch of like Mario toys around to get to the goal, and the more Mario toys you could get into the door, the better your high score was and things like that. The series went a little bit weird, but this game was very much just, that classic, sort of classic Donkey Kong in some ways, with a lot more puzzles along the way. And I really enjoyed the game on Game Boy Advance. I played it a lot on emulator, actually. I never actually had a copy. But it was a great game. It really was. But for me, it's great to see it remade on Switch. It looks great. But they are charging $70 Australian for it. That's a lot. That's a lot for this type of game. A game that came out a long time ago, but is like is a puzzle platformer. Like, I would have liked to see it at most $50 here in Australia. It's quite a lot. It's a lot of money. And honestly, just for this type of game, I would much rather just see it come to, Nintendo Switch Online, part of the Game Boy Advance expansion pass. Instead of paying $70 for, 3D graphics and being able to do co-op with Toad. Yeah, I'm a little bit unsure about that, but depending on when it comes out, depending on what else comes out when this game comes out, I probably will play it. But if there's something else that I haven't played before or something else that's big and exciting, I don't know if Final Fantasy Rebirth lines up with that. That might actually, that'll easily take me away from it, for example. There's a lot of big games coming out early next year. But yeah, I'm a little bit just like, oh, cool, it's cool to see it. But at the same time, you've got a service where you could just add it a part of my subscription. But instead I'm paying $70 for it to look better, whereas this type of game, I'm really not fussed whether it looks better. In fact, I might actually prefer the Game Boy Advance nostalgia trip when I play it again. So yeah, kind of disappointed in some ways, just how expensive it was. I think ideally this is like $30 on the eShop. It's like, yeah, it's like $50 too expensive for me. But anyway, it's a great game if you haven't played it before and you don't mind paying pretty much full price. It's only $10 less than most major Nintendo Switch games. Give it a go. But yeah, maybe a little expensive for me personally. What else we got here? We've got a fair bit. We've got a lot of stuff on this Direct. We've got another code, Recollection, which I assume is a pun for Recollection as well. And these games aren't necessarily my cup of tea, but they are, quite prominent games from Nintendo DS and Nintendo Wii that I haven't played. So as far as just trying to, understand some more niche Nintendo titles, I'll be keen to play them for that reason. But as far as me being actually excited to play them, if I was just a gamer just playing exactly what I want and not worrying about trying to diversify some of my gaming tastes, I probably wouldn't pick it up. But just so I get exactly what it is, I'll just read the blurb here. The Nintendo DS game Another Code, Two Memories, and its Wii sequel Another Code R, A Journey into the Lost Memories, are coming together fully enhanced on the Nintendo Switch. A young girl named Ashley receives a letter from her father, who she thought had passed away. Seeking answers, she sets off for a solitary island in search of him. Once there, Ashley encounters puzzles and obstacles that threaten to hinder her investigation. Find the traces of her past and experience the full story in Another Code Recollection, launching on Nintendo Switch on the 19th of January, 2024. So yeah, keen to play it just to see what it's all about. I remember seeing the DS version out on store shelves all the time. And it's always a game I looked at, but back then when I had limited pocket money and all that type of thing, it was very much like I had to take a leap of faith to try some games. I've taken many leaps of faith in my life, and it's turned out well as far as video game purchases goes. Mario World was a leap of faith. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess was a leap of faith. Animal Crossing Wild World was a leap of faith. And all those games turned out to be some of my favourite series of all time. And maybe this would have been too if I just gave it a go. But we're all getting a second chance. We can play them early next year. And it's pretty cool too because the Wii game wasn't actually released here. I was talking to Lemonade on our Discord server, and he's a massive fan of this. He loves the first two games. He imported the Wii game from Europe because it was available in Europe, but it didn't come to Australia or the States, which was interesting because in the Direct they said it didn't come to the West, whereas I guess it didn't because I guess Europe isn't the West technically, but when they say that I just assume it was Japanese only, but it was not. It was not. We've got a few more tidbits for Super Mario RPG, game I'm looking forward to quite a bit, getting to experience this. You got some new battle mechanics where you can hit everybody, you got some final moves, got some action commands that increase damage dealt, so pretty cool things. You can change the music from the old music to the new music. So pretty cool overall. Looking forward to it. Comes out on the 17th of November. And we've got WarioWare Move It as well, which comes out on the 3rd of November. We still, we got a little bit more information about like the different poses you can use with the Joy-Cons to complete the mini games, and this very much brings the spirit of WarioWare Move It from the Wii. I'm really excited for this. They're showing off a pose where like you put one Joy-Con on your nose, the other one on your butt, and then you can like peck the ground like a chicken. I'm like, yes, that is the ridiculous, just dumb stuff I need in my WarioWare. So I cannot wait for this. If you're a handheld gamer, it might be a little bit disappointing because you can't really play this on the go. Like, it's not a game for the bus. Put down your Switch and just just do the chicken peck on the plane or something. It's like, what the hell's this bloody bloke doing? We've got some new information about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the booster pass. We got some new characters, and we've got Daisy Circuit from Mario Kart Wii as well. But apart from that, we don't know too much. We'll know more a little bit later. Comes out this year sometime, so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a little bit sad. It's like, oh, this is going to be the last Mario Kart DLC until we get Mario Kart, a brand new iteration next year as a launch title. I've said it here. It's going to happen. But we're getting Funky Kong, we're getting Diddy Kong, what's her name? Peachette, and Pauline as well. So, get some characters. Any character that isn't Yoshi, I honestly couldn't care about, but it is what it is. Information about brand new amiibo. So we got Tears of the Kingdom amiibo coming out with Ganondorf and Zelda on the 3rd of November. I still got to pre-order, actually. I really want those amiibos, so I've got to make sure I pre-order. We got Noah and Mayo from Xenoblade Chronicles 3 coming out the 19th of January 2024. And we actually got Sora. What the hell? We're actually getting him. Disney has unleashed the Sora rights for Nintendo to make a little plastic figure for you little weebs to buy. Isn't that nice? I don't know. I'm nowhere near a full collection, so I don't need to get Sora. I'm not a Kingdom Hearts fan. But we'll get through some of these ones a bit more quick now that these are third party. Getting Tomb Raider 1 to 3 remastered. So that's pretty cool that we're getting that. That's available on PlayStation 4 and 5 and Xbox and that as well. Pretty cool. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. That looks awesome. Can't wait to play that from Ubisoft. I'm probably going to sign up for Ubisoft Plus on PC. I'm going to try The Crew, Motorfest, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Prince of Persia. It's like $20 a month or something. Yeah, I'll put down my $20 and I'll try to play those games as quick as I can. Because even if I get it for 3 months and I spend $60, that's that's nowhere near as expensive as even just one of those games. Like the Crew Motorfest is $110. Not on sale. Even if it's on sale, say Black Friday or Christmas time, it'll go down to 70 or 80. But yeah, no, be making money. Pretty much making money. Trombone Champs. This is a game that came out last year. I heard a little bit about, but it's a rhythm game where you can use the motion controls on the Joy-Con to try and hit the notes for the trombone. And every song just sounds horrible. And it seems like a lot of fun. I haven't picked it up. It's only like $18, but I feel like in a group of people, you're all got the Joy-Cons and you're all just making sounds. That'll be hilarious. But that came out on the day of. Dave the Diver. Now, this is a game I was excited to hear about. I heard a lot of people really praise this game on PC. It's only out on PC, and now that it's coming out on Switch, it's like a limited console exclusive for Nintendo Switch. So that's pretty cool. It comes out on the 26th of October, but you can also play the demo. I'll read the blurb for this too, because I think Dave the Diver's worth diving into. Dive by day, surf by night. Explore a deep sea and manage a sushi bar in this single-player casual adventure RPG. Join Dave and his quirky friends as they seek to uncover the secrets lurking in the depths of the mysterious blue hole. Unravel the ocean's worth of mysteries, play minigames, complete side quests, and maintain a successful sushi business in this marine-themed adventure. Dave the Diver splashes down onto consoles for consoles on Nintendo Switch on the 26th of October. So yeah, keen to play that one. There's a demo out right now if you want to give it a go. Unicorn Overlord. This It's a hell of a name, but the game looks pretty cool. Comes out on Switch on the 8th of March, 2024. And it's by Vanillaware, so they do great work. The art style looks unreal. It's just the name, but yeah, it's like, what are you playing at the moment? Well, I'm playing... yeah, could you imagine that? Like, your Call of Duty friends, your Fortnite friends, like, oh, look, what are you playing these days, man? I haven't seen you in a couple of months. Yeah, I'm playing this interesting game. It's called Unicorn Overlord. It's like, yeah, right. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You sound like a funny person. We've got Saga Emerald Beyond. We've got a brand new map for Among Us. That was a Song of Nanu, a League of Legends story. What else do I care about in there? Got Contra, Eastward, Octopia, DLC. It's like a farming game, just DLC added onto that. Eden Chronicles 100 Heroes. That looks really cool. Just a really interesting JRPG. That's basically like a spiritual successor to Suikoden 1 and 2, which looks really good. Keen to get into that one, actually. The 23rd of April it comes out, so thank God for that. We've got a release date. Long way away, so I don't have to think about it just yet, thank God. Horizon Chase 2, this one's been on Apple Arcade for a while, actually. It's really great, and the first Horizon Chase was really awesome as well. I have that on Nintendo Switch and had a lot of fun with it. Basically doing time trials and races, real sort of arcadey sort of throwback to stuff like Daytona and games like that you might have played on the arcade. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. That's available now on the Switch. This was Wargroove 2 is coming to Switch on the 6th of October. I swore Wargroove 2 was already out. I really did. When they said that, I'm like, isn't it out? Apparently it's not. I really thought Wargroove 2 had already come out. But apparently it had not. But apart from that, it's just... what was it? Was it Star Ocean's Second Story R? That's another game I'm really looking forward to. They released a demo the day of as well. So I've downloaded it. It's ready to go. And I think I read that your progress carries over. I'm not sure if it's just same to like the Octopath Traveler demos where it's just the start of the story. You can play for 3 hours and then you can continue on when the game comes out. I'm not that sure, but the game doesn't come out until like, was it the 1st or the 3rd of November? So we've still got a little while yet. So if I play it now, I'll surely forget what the hell I'm up to. But that brings us to the end of the Nintendo Direct. Talked about most of the things I'm excited about, but a lot of people were saying like it's a mid-Direct. It's not that exciting. It's whatever. Who cares? But honestly, I wasn't expecting anything, and we got a couple more little cherries on the top of the rest of this year and early next year. Like, really, we just got to clear a picture of what we're going to be playing early next year. We're going to be playing Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Going to be playing Princess Peach. Hopefully going to be playing Thousand Year Door relatively early, but that wouldn't be any earlier than April, I wouldn't imagine, for that, since we already got a date for Princess Peach Showtime. But pretty cool overall. Anybody that's complaining about it's like, well, you can complain about it, but still, you got plenty of games to spend your money on, that's for sure, so don't worry too much about it. Let's jump into the end of the show where we go into Doug Bowser's Hot Takes. And this hot take was actually provided by, once again, I'm going to give him a plug here, Josh of Nintenvania. He left this in the Discord and I thought, that's a good one. Might stir the pot, especially after all the F-Zero fans have finally gotten exactly what they want. And Doug's hot take this week is, the success of Mario Kart means there's no point having F-Zero Wave Race or the Excite Bike series release new games. Without further ado, I should actually put up a timer. I always forget the timer, but I should put it up. Put a timer on for 1 minute, so then I can make sure I've rambled on long enough. So the Mario Kart series is completely much better than F-Zero, Excite Bike, or the Wave Race series. We don't need more than one racing game as far as Nintendo games go. The Mario Kart series provides all you need as far as your racing needs go. You've got on the road, you've got anti-gravity, you've got flying, you've got underwater. And what do any of these other series offer that Mario Kart doesn't already? Like, when it comes to F-Zero, we literally have F-Zero tracks in Mario Kart 8 when you can go super fast. You've got the anti-gravity from the series as well. So F-Zero really isn't needed. And Excite Bike, it's an older game, guys. Get over it. It's old. It's boring. You know, just like those sound effects. And the Excite Bike truck, the Excite Bike track. I was thinking of Excite Truck. Track is better than any Excite Bike game has ever been. That's a minute. I've run out of time. But yeah, that's the hot take. I didn't think about that one that much, and it shows. But thank you very much for staying with me there. But if you'd like to bring in your own hot take, if you'd like me to just defend a heinous hot take, you can email me at drew@thehouseofmario, and you can leave your hot take there. You can also just leave me questions and all of that type of thing to answer on the show as well. I'm more than happy to bring in your topics and in your questions and bring them into the show. But guys, that brings to the end of The House of Mario, episode 255. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave a Apple Podcast review. It really helps us out. As well as just go to youtube.com/iDruby and leave a subscribe there. You can also reach me on the socials @iDruby. And if you got this far, let me know in the YouTube comments with the hashtag 1000-year THOM. So 1000-year THOM. Let me know you got this far. Let me know what you thought of the episode and what Nintendo game you're most excited about for the rest of the year. But until then, guys, the doors to the House of Mario, they're closed. I'll catch you later. The House of Mario, a Nintendo podcast, is recorded in the southeast of South Australia. It is produced by me, Drew Agnew, and is supported by my kind and generous housemates at patreon.com/iDruby. Call in for my behind-the-scenes podcast, secret recordings, and heaps good, the South Aussie take on a conversational show with my good friend Josh of Nintendvania. A huge shout out to the legends who support me at the iDruby Patreon Mega Feed tier or higher on Patreon, including Brendan Myers, Oliver Chaston, Samuel Hay, DJ, and Lemonade. Let's continue to make passionate Nintendo content as we climb the stairs to 300. Thank you.